Hello, hello, hello.
Hello,
Welcome to
hello everyone.
DevKami.
Hello.
Yeah,
Oh,
episode number 157. It's beginning of December, meaning it's Christmas season. Except
Oh,
most of us already bought stuff last month, so yeah. I bought stuff 2 months
for
back.
Hanukkah.
Yes, a Hanukkah. You may think this is funny, but
Sure.
Malaysia used to have a Jewish community.
Mm.
Then of course things happens in between. Uh, a lot actually move out of Malaysia. Some goes to Singapore. Some actually goes to Israel because of a Jewish visa immigration there. So yeah, we do have that. And for a while, it's not that long ago. It's actually in the 90s actually. Uh, so we do have Jewish community, and they do celebrate Hanukkah here, right? So yeah, just a fact. So either way, I have no idea what to talk about today, but how's everything, you guys? Excited?
you. Oh, I'm excited because it's a long weekend for me. It's
Okay.
also
When is that?
swimming, right? Swimming has a long weekend
No, I'm not
because
having
of
a
the
long
holiday
weekend.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
What?
it
You're
is
not
a
taking the
surprise
holiday
holiday.
tomorrow?
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
Companies do have can have delay the replacement leave. In my case, I have a good reason for it. I had a product alpha launch, you say, for a while, so I still had things that I need to do, and quite a few things I try to introduce into this organization I'm in, which I hope is a good thing. So either way, we're delaying the holiday to New Year Eve instead. So New Year Eve is actually on a Friday, and we decide to move it on a New Year Eve instead.
Mm.
And so yeah, we do have a replacement leave instead of tomorrow. So yeah, that's surprise. So why we had a holiday? Some might ask is actually because the the federal territory football team wins a football match. Yeah, it get really ridiculous. Yeah, it is that ridiculous.
Well, it won after 32 years of not winning, so I think
Correct, correct,
that's the
correct.
point.
Because
mm,
the Johor it wins against Johor, and Johor actually spend a lot of money on their football club.
mm,
It's one of the Sultan's pet project. So
mm.
yeah. So that being
Mm.
said, shall I go to the event first?
Yep.
Yes, I should. I need to share window. Ta-da. So first thing happening. You still going to do Ruby, right, Tristan?
Yeah, we are. This is the one that's sponsored by Forkwell.
Yep. Yep. Well.
So
Yep. So
just
that's next
attend.
week. Yep.
You'll get
Same.
some grab. I think they moved it to grab credits. It was supposed to be Amazon credits, like
Yep.
$25 or something, but apparently it's not usable as much
In
in
Malaysia.
Malaysia if it's in US
Correct.
dollars. So yeah, now it's I think 100 ringgit, a couple of hundred
Yep.
ringgits in grab credits for a raffle
Cool.
or something.
Cool. So yeah, if you're interested for learning, not really actually for the price, join Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah, why not
More
for
detail will
both?
coming soon. Well, if you're lucky, you get both. I'm just let's say, yeah, I don't believe in bad things, so that's just me. So that being said, let's go to the news. Today, this week is such a slow news day, mostly. So some of the more exciting thing happened last week. Uh, am I opening the right tab? I am opening the right tab.
Yeah. PHP 8.
PHP 8.1 is out. I
Yeah.
didn't use PHP for a long
If you hate
while, but
JavaScript, you should use PHP.
yeah. Oh, so I have story about PHP. I never managed to get PHP running smoothly on my development environment.
There are some stuff that is setting up is a kind of a challenge, especially for production and development.
Correct. But that being said, I use my blog used to be on a WordPress site. I decided to move away just because. So now my server's still up and running. I try to figure out what to do with it. There's a lot of options actually. Oh yeah, there's one more thing I need to share. Give me a moment. Advent of Code 2021. Very
So
important.
Advent of Code is December.
Yes.
It's already on the second day.
Yeah, let me add that to the tab. So let's go back to PHP first. Quite a number of language feature, new initializer, callable syntax. There's enumeration, which is useful. No, the language itself not too bad. No, I mean, it's just that my problem is the setup. That's about it. I think nowadays it's pretty modern. It used to be PHP. The way to set up is very archaic in the way that to get it start development, you need to set up all the web servers and all that. I think things changed since then. So which is a good
Still
thing.
do.
Oh, we still do. And also things like fibers and all that. Concurrency within PHP for a long while also a bit awkward. Things is changing because those days we had a lot of pattern of PHP, a lot of pattern in PHP that use it as a HTML generator.
Who uses fiber for promise? Ruby also call fiber, right?
Yes, because it's not a thread; it's a fiber.
Yeah, it's not exactly
Thread has a
thread.
different connotation.
Correct. So yeah. PHP have it. I want to see how it works because my mind of PHP is still on the PHP generator style, CGI style, so it's a bit weird. Now you got array unpacking.
Yeah, it's not just for PHP. Especially Python, if you're on a Whiskey protocol, it's still pretty much a CGI protocol.
Correct. Which is why at least the application server, we run it as an application server differently. So that being said, if you're in PHP, looks interesting, I'm going to move on. This is actually from Sam. This is yet another, this is actually for tracing. Tracing what now? HTTP and all that. So it's multiple tools for you to debug your network. So for example, recently I have to debug accessibility issues. So I was checking whether it's SSL issue or was it on server issue, etc. So this looks like it can do everything. SSL with a lot of SSL mention all that. It's convenient. So I think this is interesting to use. Anything you want to add on? If not, I'm going to move on.
No.
I think it's interesting. Maybe one day I would use it. Next one. So the Arduino UNO Mini limited edition. It's out. It's pre-ordered, but it's limited. This is actually the smaller version of it. It's a smaller version of the Arduino.
A quarter of the size of the original UNO.
But
it's mostly a cash grab, I think, by Arduino.
Correct.
Because it's a really slow processor, like 10 year ago, a decade old processor. Yes. But it's they're presenting it as a collector's item, as a collectible. Like they even hint at how much it will be if you can offer, like in 20-30 years, if it's in an unopened state, right? Like a mid quality.
Correct.
So
it's a collector's item.
Yeah. You look at the box they put it in.
Yeah, you're not supposed to actually use it, although it is. Yeah. It does work.
Usable.
But it's not supposed to be usable. I mean, it's not supposed to be in a project unless you're like swimming in cash, and then that the only microcontrollers you use are collector's edition microcontrollers. Then just to show off.
The price point is pretty much the same as the UNO price, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It's intended.
Yeah, I got a UNO back then. It's around that price.
Yes. $45 US. I think it's a lot expensive.
US dollar. Oh, this is euro. Right?
Euro.
Oh, 40 euros.
100
US dollar.
150 to 200 ringgit. I remember.
Correct. It's around the time, which is why people use questionable copy of Arduinos those days. But nowadays we had a lot cheaper option nowadays. At this price, you can get something a lot more capable.
Let me check.
Like
a lot
the
more
Raspberry Pi.
Correct. Raspberry Pi.
In case I spill fake news.
Yes. So Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi Zero, Raspberry Pi Pico, or even at this price, you potentially can get anything bundled together like a I think this thing
It's
is
oh.
still cheaper than that.
It's
Yeah,
100.
right?
It's 100. But if you Google, the cheap ones are normally just the counterfeit.
Correct,
Mhm.
correct.
I will call it counterfeit because it's still because Arduino follows an open design.
Open source. Yeah.
Yep. So if it's a violation of the trademark anyway, so
Correct.
If they
correct.
call it an
Even though
Arduino,
the
so it's
design,
more
they
like
call
a
themselves
clones.
Arduino, so it's a counterfeit.
Yeah.
Even though it's
If they
still
call
work.
themselves Arduino, yeah.
so which is why those days
Speak-
people call it Arduino compatible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
Speaking
call
of
themselves Arduino.
yeah,
Yes.
speaking of the Arduino, I think the Raspberry Pi Pico is a really nice replacement. Like it can be
Correct.
the Uno killer. Because there had been a lot, like ESP32, ESP8266,
Yes.
those were like presented as Uno killers, but didn't really get that
Sorry.
kind of like mainstream acceptance as the Arduino Uno. But
Correct.
the Pi Pico might be the chip that actually does that because
Correct.
it's a
Very
good
capable.
replacement. Yeah.
It's a lot more capable, meaning it covers multiple use case. It covers a basic use case on microcontrollers, and more importantly, it covers the modern age of machine learning inference in microcontroller. Not the biggest thing around here, but it's capable of it. It's definitely capable of it. Multi-core, right price point, etc. Not the right form factor, but they have all the right thing have for them. And also Arduino themselves do adopt the chip. So yeah, it's really possible. So the RP2040 and the newer generation should be there. So next one, GitHub was offline for 2 hours. We were sleeping as usual with Malaysian, and also it's a weekend. Who the hell work on weekend? I mean, I used to, but nowadays I stopped working on the weekend, so I did notice it. So yeah, GitHub is down for 2 hours on the weekend
Was
at
down.
night. Yeah, and it's back
still-
up. So
Yeah.
yes. Then next one. Oh, this is more interesting than the news. So SEM actually interviewed actually they are creator of Berkeley DB. Do you use Berkeley DB before?
But this is the underlying structure for MySQL, right? Or is it different?
I think MySQL used different thing originally, but that being said,
Okay.
Berkeley DB do serve as the base for database engines. The database engine used by MySQL. So the MySQL engines do have Berkeley DB underneath it, and for a while, Python actually had a library, had a Berkeley DB, I believe, library in the standard library. I think it's out already because nobody used it. And this is actually interesting. So this is actually a file-based key value store. This is the NoSQL database before NoSQL database. But that being said, before the 1980s, before the 90s even, let's put 90s and then all that before the 1980s, let's put that all database are NoSQL database, right? So, but this is more interesting because it actually persists to the modern day for a while. This is Berkeley DB is actually one of what we call a timeless Unix technology. So it's a key value store. I actually used it in on app before. It's pretty interesting actually. But the catch is because the key value store, you had to plan your query differently. We have to to actually make this queryable, the key we had to prepend it with things to make it searchable. So in a way, it's limiting, but it's also very interesting to use. So yeah, who else use Berkeley DB nowadays?
No,
I do
not
not know
mine.
anyone use. Yeah, I mean it's a rare technology.
I switched to Postgres really early.
Yeah, I use my SQL. I use my SQL. I use my SQL primarily before that.
It's very funny because the way I use Postgres were very different because it was an old database, so I use it like
Yes,
don't do it.
correct. No, you are correct because PostgreSQL is well known because they had very new standard implemented. People do implement very new experimental.
There's inheritance in Postgres.
Correct.
So that's why I use it. That's
There's also like the JSON stores, the binary JSON stores.
That comes later.
PostGIS, a lot of those things.
Yeah, that's later.
Correct.
But
PostgreSQL is there. People want
not really proud of it.
Yeah, one of the IBM database compatible. They make an open source version, but they use it. They implement a lot of stuff because a lot of the SQL standard actually for some reason get implemented into PostgreSQL. So what happened then is they introduce object oriented, which actually part of the SQL standard actually, believe it or not. Then they also, for some reason, people use that more because people implemented PostGIS, the GIS
also
database on it.
Sort of at their time, it was one of the database that enforced the commit, the transaction.
Correct.
Yeah. So previously,
unlike MySQL at that time.
Yeah.
MySQL don't even have that those days. So yeah, PostgreSQL have it. They do have it. And then what happened then for some funny reason, it just ends up with more framework, just use it as a default. It just ends up by the default database. Even though a lot of those frameworks do not actually use all the advanced feature, maybe for concurrency, but that's about it actually. I would say
Postgres is more predictable than in terms of behavior scale. It's not correct. Also, it's one of the two that I've been using. So
yes. So
I sort of
PostgreSQL.
I think I only have 1 year of MySQL experience.
Yep. But PostgreSQL is also designed very unique style in the way that things rarely break. It's pretty timeless in the way that other than all the NoSQL-ish technology, the complex field, the JSON and HStore field, most of the things are pretty timeless. The SQL command would just work predictably, right? It's one of those timeless Unix technology type of thing.
It's more
which is why I like
consistent. Yeah.
Correct. Even though ORM, one might think that the ORM will use the object-oriented feature. I don't see that happening. Interestingly,
don't use it. Don't use it. It's been it's been more than 10 years since I used the OO feature.
Correct. So this is something if you work in the private sector. Mampu is running the government cloud service. I believe, according to the article, even though they say they run it, but they have partnered with the cloud provider in Malaysia, which is the TM, the Amazon apparently, and definitely Microsoft, which is expectable. So it's a collaboration. I do not know how this works because I do not work inside the government for a while, but so now there is a central agency that do it.
At least it promotes them going to the cloud.
Correct. Correct. So in the way you may think that government run cloud, that's bad, but you must understand that government service in Malaysia, civil service in Malaysia can be pretty conservative in a way, unless politicians come in, then things are different. So when it comes to computing, they are a bit more conservative, which is why the story of Windows NT running one of the key services for a long while.
I would want to correct you. It's not much cool stuff. They have they hardwares. They have a lifetime in government servers. They have to replace it in a few years.
Correct. Yeah. So this collaboration. So I think this might be interesting if you work in the happen to work in the civil service. So yeah, just something to know. JetBrains Fleet.
Yeah.
So this is actually JetBrains answer to Electron or VS Code.
It's VS Code remote.
Remote, yeah.
Yeah, but they offer the fleet as a platform as well. So I think it's called Space, right? Is it?
I don't know.
That you can choose, like pick and choose, like this is like using it remotely. If you scroll down, it shows the difference.
Right.
So, okay, then there's a space which is a JetBrains platform where you can run your code and buy credits.
Yeah. So so these things that allows you to actually write code on the iPad, right?
We go back to the old timeshare machine again.
Yes, again. Well, at least I don't have to. I can use whatever machine I need. Move on. This is I'm going to cover this shortly, but EC2 will have IP6 only subnet, and this is useful because we run out IPv4. So this will doorstep VPC, meaning the subnet may be IPv6, but I believe you can mix between both, and you can set up IPv6 only. So yeah, it'll be interesting, but it may confuse the hell out of people because not a lot of people know the format of IPv6 IP address format. But that being said, I think this is a good thing. This is a good thing because we are running our IPv6, IPv4 address anyway. It's so bad that they had to recycle some old reserve. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but that's about it. Next one is Daylight Empire. This is actually a interactive online game to teach you about concurrency. So you have to write code and things that run concurrently and all that. I did not test the code and all that yet, but I like this concept because you solve the problem. You solve the problem by actually coding live. And because it's JavaScript, so yeah. Is it JavaScript? I think it's JavaScript. Anything you want to add on this? If not, I'm going to move on.
No.
So NYANTE is releasing Lightship. Lightship is a augmented reality kit. So
NYANTE is the one with the Pokemon Go thing craze.
And correct.
Years ago, right?
Yeah.
Before that was what's the name of that?
Ingress.
Ingress.
So now they have a SDK. It's not free, but I can't find the pricing though, interestingly. Or I can just download. I think pricing is something, but you can use it on your phone. So it's not something on the glass yet because nobody had the hardware. But yeah, if you're interested, look at that. It's called Lightship.dev. I think AR will be one of the big thing. The problem is which platform. There's a biggest problem because there's a rumor Apple will have it. Google got out of it very early on because of controversy. Then there's a few players that want to get on it, and some independent smaller company have some interesting hardware.
There's a rumor that Apple gonna come up with their goggles as well, right?
Correct.
Or glass.
That aside from that, there are like ideas of combining NFT and VR and blockchains, of course, like that. It's because if you can get like permanent, if you can divide the world like 3D space into particular like coordinates, right? And then that they get assigned permanent coordinates, and you can own particular things, and the VR basically like matches that. Then you can buy real estate on the virtual world.
Correct.
Like you can say, okay, this tree around it is mine on the VR world, even though in reality it's not the tree is there physically, but you have a tree in the VR world. So something like that. Those are like the ideas of all of these things.
So one hot thing, very interesting. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, you can be a hobo in real world, but you can be a loaded person in the metaverse.
It's a bit more complicated, but let's move on. Yet another web framework in JavaScript.
Well, from the guys who know what they're doing, I would say.
Yeah.
What's the name of this?
Remix.
It's from the React Navigator guys.
Yep. Well, if it works for you, it works for you.
But it's a server-side framework.
Correct.
I'm going to add. Yeah. Not gonna. It's not gonna something that I'm gonna use.
Yep. Just know that it's there. I'm going to skip PyCharm. Interesting stuff. They have poetry support. That's the only thing. I move on. This is a very old news.
Sorry.
So there's this scam on Facebook in Malaysia, targeting Malaysian. What they do is they provide cheap made service, but to do that you have to download the app. And here's the fun part: the app must be installed by downloading the APK. So that is actually the first red flag.
Nice.
And as it turns out, as it turns out, what does is they will transfer you to a website that that pretend to be Maybank. Then they try to get all the information from you. Then they steal you the credential. So the news is old, but people since already caught them. It's not successful, but I do not know how many people are affected, but it already happened. It happened quite some time back. So yeah. This one is interesting because this is not new, but it's new-ish. So this is the cell family, Seed Studio cell. It's based on RF52.
Cell depending on the dialect you speak, it can be very funny because if you speak Mandarin, it's small. You speak Hokkien, it's crazy, nuts.
Yeah, but this is Mandarin because it's really small. This thing is very small.
How do I know it's nuts?
Yeah, but it could be so.
Oh, maybe that's the thing, right? It's crazy. It's so crazy small, something like that. Xiao, depending on on the dialect.
So this is featureful in terms of sensor, but it runs on NRF52, which means you can run my favorite thing.
JavaScript. You can run JavaScript on it. Your favorite thing.
I don't like JavaScript. My favorite thing is actually TinyML. The TensorFlow Lite Micro. So you can run neural network on it. You can, of course, run CircuitPython on it because it's very similar to the microbit in a way. So you get Bluetooth. You get
how much is
sensor. This? I can't find the price though, but the price is very competitive. That's the thing.
Well, because of the chip shortages, it's actually very difficult to buy NRF chips right now. Like NRF52, it's almost impossible to get.
So this is this is the big one, which cents is $15.99, almost $16. Just the BLE alone. Also, they're having pre-order, but I think it run out of stock. It take a while.
It's pre-order because it's very difficult to get like actual.
Correct.
What do you call this? Like chips.
Yes. So it's which is, as I say, $9, $10 is very competitive in terms of price and capability. But
BLE Sense has the microphone, like it's like the Nano 33 BLE Sense. Probably has the microphone, the IR sensors, etc.
Correct. But you can run Arduino, MicroPython, and all that. So and knowing Seed Studio, you're more likely to unable to buy it and get it on an expensive price.
I wonder if Citron will sell it, because if Citron sells it, I'm probably getting one. Just for
they may have it. They may have it, but even the cell on their site have been sold out as well. So yeah, interesting hardware. And finally, so yeah, interesting hardware and all that. Finally, Advanced code is out. We have been solving the code. The user suspect is just 4 of us, which is sad as hell. But this is just day 2.
I'm still there, but I haven't really been doing it.
Correct. And this is just day 2. So yeah, join us. You don't get prize, but you do get bragging rights. So yeah. So this is all the things that happened within last week. So this week, I have interesting question. The question here is, have you dealt with junior developers, either as an intern or junior developer before?
The interns, not so much. Like the interns are difficult, so it was only an experiment, and we did hire one after that experiment, but we decided they're too fresh. Like it's just a waste of time to deal with interns. Junior developers, like because they go through an interview process, so we usually like get like bright people, like proactive people. So yeah, at least the ones that I experienced interviewing, they're worth investing your time on.
Right. So then the question is, what do you think the knowledge gap for junior developers that you
It
think that
depends
we
really. It's really like give them a task and then let them get used to it, because that's why you have your 3 month probation, right? Like depending on
yeah
how proactive they are on the task, or like what are the questions they ask, because you're not expecting them to immediately finish the task. The thing is, can they
yeah
learn
yeah yeah yeah, yeah.
what the task is supposed to be in these 3 months, and then that's it. Like that's when you get the gap, and then if it's like the question really isn't about the gap, because if the person you're trying out like is proactive enough or can learn,
Yeah.
like they know how to like manage your time, then any knowledge gap is easily covered. So the real problem are like people again, and this is from experience, because most of the companies I've been working with are very lax in terms of like time and all of like the management, right? And so
Yeah.
most of the issues that we get for people not passing probation is for people who really get too much freedom that they don't know what to do with it, and so they basically like burn themselves out not doing anything. Like they just like watch, because you're supposed to manage your time. So in terms of knowledge gap, it's not really a big problem for the people with the right attitude, at least in my experience.
I
Knowledge
know
gap is
because
not, from what I observe, is knowledge gap is not the issue.
yeah,
Mm.
because
It's
as it turns out, things can easily learn.
it's more about the
But
culture, like
yeah, but I'm thinking that when okay, so you come to the question, right? Instead of gap, when a fresh person comes out, what do they know nowadays? Actually, it's a question I would keep asking. What do kids learn in school nowadays, or in their whatever they're learning nowadays, right? Whether they're self-taught or whether they actually go
I
to a school.
I would say most of
What?
them is for those that with initiative, they have to self-taught. It's that school doesn't help much in that. It just provide the platform and the foundation.
Yeah, because I know. So that makes sense because when I was in school, what really happened is I take the free time. I take the free time to explore other things, and that's the thing, right? What university have is not really a lot of class. It's more like you have a lot of time. If you don't go out to
You have a
shop
lot
and
of
all that,
time. You get to know people with because of the the course and thing. You get to know people with similar
yeah,
interests.
yes. So that's why I get in school. I have uh so I have time, so I do crazy shit like installing Linux on something, right? So I'm thinking that what do people learn nowadays? I don't know
I don't know.
actually. Because to be
It's not a
honest,
question I can answer.
yeah, because I cannot use my own experience. I cannot use my own experience
I would
because
say it's the difference is the culture. It's not gonna complain about. I don't want to repeat the same complaint of our predecessors, which is we're gonna complain about the youth. Is I think
no
the
no
thing
no we
that
should not.
a lot of the problem that I find is knowledge is not an issue. It's about the attitude, like
Yeah,
to able to use that, to know that they have the power,
yeah, mm-hmm,
and in some cases they don't need to ask for permission.
yep,
They don't have to
okay,
wait for order or ask for permission to, like, if you see that's an issue, just raise it up. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's what I observed that is a problem. They rather be the holding grudge, internally than trying to get some of those problems solved and for good and communicate over.
Yeah.
And also the trend that I noticed is that the kind of freedom we give them is not necessarily a blessing to them. It's, some of them they can burn out from to having us not telling them, giving them a rigid schedule or something to do. So that also burns them out. It's really silly. Like if I started working, I was given this kind of freedom, I would kill for the job.
So you see, that's the thing, right? Okay, so I recently have an intern working with me. Actually, he was working with a few of the senior developers. I am one of them. It just also happens that unlike the other senior developers, I have more time. More like I manage to make time to help him, even though I have other tasks. So yeah, so that's the thing. I've been
Wait a
asking. I
minute.
do not know.
Is this intern watching us? Because you should ask him to or her to watch us.
No, no, I don't think so. I
Or
don't think
join
so. No,
in,
I
or
don't think
join in,
so. I don't think so.
Hmm.
Well,
or join us.
yeah, I can always say that he's new. He's new, but the thing is, I don't know whether I give. The thing I give, the task I give is too advanced. That's the thing. But I do give time, as in set up an ECS server, install it, get it running, then I will check you out. Then because I believe in this, I believe in a thing called failure driven development. So it's a term I just made up, meaning you when things doesn't
You
work,
should
then
teach
we
them
fix it
the
to work.
quitting driven development as well.
It's
So
actually a
write your
quitting
code.
driven.
Yeah. So after you're bored with it, you can just quit and don't have to worry about
Yeah.
maintaining the code.
So yeah, this is actually a joke in the engineers my Discord channel.
Yeah.
So it's also one of those old saying, write the code in your way, no documentation and whatnot. No documentation and whatnot for job security. It's not true because if I'm given a chance, I will rewrite the hell out of whatever the guy write. So yeah. So either way, I do not actually know what to do most of the time, other than I know technical. That's the only thing I'm good at, right? People, not so much. Know what I mean? I probably know more. I program in more platforms than know more people. So yeah, that's the yeah. So which is why I'm interested. What do people know? I don't know. What you don't know, then which is pretty important to me because I do not know whether it's too hard or is it too easy. Is it too hard? I mean, like, do teaching
No,
people
it's
about
I think it's
socket?
per individual cases.
Yeah, right.
So you
Okay,
can pick up more. You can just push up. So just push
okay,
them.
okay. What do intern expect us to do actually? Because
It'd be
Well,
great.
the intern is supposed to what they go to
Make
ask
copy.
you.
learn what is it. What does it mean to
It's
be
actually a
working?
CSR to teach this what this
Yeah.
to pick up the slack of what school didn't do. Unpopular idea.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I know because I used to in a very shitty internship. Is I used to be in a very shitty internship. I didn't learn anything. And so as a computer repair technician, I didn't even code. So it's so bad. So yeah. So as a
So
result,
you have to break the cycle. See,
no, that's the
probably the
point.
person that you were teaching, that you were interning for, also didn't have a good internship experience. So now it's up to you to give people a good
Yeah,
internship experience.
yeah. So which is why I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to teach thing. I try to teach thing. At least you learn something extra that you don't actually learn on your own, right? So that's one. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that. So the first thing that about my internship experience that I hate in my internship experience is I learn nothing. So that's the first thing I change. I try to impart some knowledge. Impart some knowledge. I hope he likes it. So
But
I mean, I'm
but
a
you know, having an intern is a great pair programming partner, where or a rubber duck, a live rubber duck, right? You just like do
right.
your job, and then they're just there watching, and then just keep asking questions. Why do you do it like this? Why do you do it like that? I
It's
mean, it's
more
not
like
going to be very efficient, but that's the point of like internship, like teaching
yeah.
someone, right?
Well, that's not the arrangement I have because I asked him to set up something based on documentation on a Linux machine. I don't think he used a Linux machine on the shell before. That's due to him, so I kind of worry I might give too
Yeah.
much.
No, no. In that case, that's actually a good thing because now he gets a map of what he doesn't know. So you know the Johari window? I forgot what's called. Like you don't know what you don't know, and this now gives him an opportunity to map out what he doesn't know. But just
Right.
experiencing it is not like it's not going to be productive because he's going to forget it. The best thing is to actually have him or her list down what was missed under your guidance because you know more about it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
comparing it, like, okay, I missed setting up that system D thing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't,
yeah,
I don't know how to use the Linux shell. These
yeah,
are the resources that I need in order to do this job,
yeah,
and have it
yeah.
actually written down. That's a report. That's an internship report that I would be expecting the person to
Yeah,
do.
right.
And
Yeah,
that's like a guide for that person in the future. Like, okay,
yeah,
I want to continue in the computer software industry. This is
yep,
the thing. These are the things that I need to learn because I needed to
right.
learn it on my previous internship.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
Okay.
another story to
That's,
tell though. Is that
yeah, 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 yeah,
to get them get them relate to the industry.
yeah.
Recently I interview. I actually conducts interview with a very short one
Mm-hmm,
with candidates for intern. It's just that
mm-hmm.
mainly to tell them to see. I mean, but very simple. Vet them out. Like basically, just don't come and waste our time.
Yep.
So and also to tell them about this lah to make sure they are serious. And the one thing that I noticed is that there are some not even graduates. There are some that already burn out before entering the industry,
How that
where
happened? I mean,
they will dissociate with the field. Like
yeah,
they cannot relate the field with what they study or what they've been doing in school. So the way we do sort of as a CSR is that to let them experience it and at
yeah,
least hopefully they can see something in it lah. I mean to spark their interest or to
right.
get at least
It's a
to yeah,
contrasting experience, right?
it's something that is tangible to them than previously like you just have to code for the project, then it's just and it's a group project, so everybody just from what I heard like one of them is that everybody did a little bit but nobody it's like they didn't get any chance to do any real things about of course they did the thing that they the one thing like relate to what I mentioned previously is that I don't know where they get the culture of you have to wait for permission or somebody to let you do.
Well, that
Yeah,
is actually
that also two
school.
problem. Lah.
That is actually partially a school thing because uh in where I studies like at least it would things like you do not need to learn this. You constantly have the pressure that you do not need to know this. You do not need to go this. This is too advanced. This more importantly, this won't be in exam. Don't study yet.
Which is
Right?
why the internship is a good experience. Again, if you note things down, you will.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would expect an intern to note down is that I don't care whether you use advanced tools or not. I just need something to
Yeah,
be
I
working.
don't
Like
care
it
what you know.
becomes it becomes a measure of the output. Like, what is the end product? Does it work? And as according to specifications, however you got there, is something that you talk with your colleagues. Like maintainability, is it something that because many people are doing it, it just makes things efficient. But in the end, the client wants something that's working. So that's a very different shift of thinking from a student, and that's why having a log, a work log for an intern is very important.
Yes, and this will be, and that alone is actually a very big change in school. Let's talk. I want to go a bit of segue. Malaysian education system sucks in a way. The Malaysian culture education system sucks in this way.
I don't say it's limited to Malaysia. I think it's
but I live here, and so I understand. So what happened is, from in your preschool, you can do whatever, people don't care.
You know what I heard is I heard the same complaint from friends from other countries.
Yes, but let's go from then starting from, and very suddenly, in your primary school, that will be from age 7 to 12, from year 1 to year 6, you would begin to just study. You're asked to start studying.
I would say the difference. I can tell you the difference. Yeah. At least it's related to the younger generation where they stop playing outside.
Yes, it's true. You're not so you're starting in those days. You would have students will still go to play and all that. So nowadays it's a bit worse in the way that
even
your entertainment are not outdoors.
Even back in my hometown, is that kids are no longer wandering around. Of course, I understand that the things is changed. I mean,
but everyone is meeting in VR. You just don't have a VR device. That's why you're not in the loop.
Yeah, but
they never learn to organize themselves.
Yep. Yes.
Like when you go out and play, you get to engage with people with different opinion than you.
Yes.
You get to be friend with people that has things and had a different background from you, and also like you learn to organize. You learn to negotiate.
And you learn to you learn to like you learn how much of an argument you want to have, because if you go too much, then you get punched in the face, and then okay, this is too much in the boundary, and then there's actually consequences. Whereas like ranting on the internet, there's no consequence at all.
That's the issue that I noticed, is that a lot of them, they don't know how to handle disagreement.
Yeah,
and they always expect everybody to agree with them, and also to be as perfect as they are.
Correct.
So this is the quality that lacks. That is also not related to technical.
No, this is totally how people use tools and how people deals with it.
I think living space, like we always talk in another channel with which is a Sina project, is that living space, a safe living space, activity space is very important for development.
Correct. So you need to get out. The reason why I'm so weird is because I do not get out of my house.
The good things changing is that now there's more ways to communicate, but also because we can choose where we can tune into, is that gradually we are gonna get more intolerant with things we don't agree on.
Correct.
That's very hard to teach.
Yeah.
Because the internet, that's one of the cause of misery for a lot of the juniors and interns. They don't agree, and then it makes them miserable.
Yes. Because the internet is it's somewhere you can you unconsciously form a bubble. You unconsciously form a bubble very easily. You block people. You block yourself. You move out to another room. The algorithm cluster similar interests.
Yep.
etc.
That's why
So
the joke that I have on a dating website sometimes is that, especially like some of those that match your preference, like basically you're looking to match yourself.
correct. You're going to marry yourself. Maybe opposite or depends on who, the same gender or different gender. But yes, you're dating and marrying yourself, and there's a problem actually. But yeah, maybe it's that.
No,
So
that's my hypothesis. Not
yeah,
proven,
correct.
but that's
I
why
mean,
I observed that it's lacking.
yes. And my
Also, there are
hypothesis
outliers.
is
There are different people. I'm
every
just
people
generalizing here. So
correct. And another generation I can make that is up until from 7 years old to 18 years old. In some place, even up to 20 years old, we're supposed to just study. Then after that, you go to by 21 years old, you go to university. Then it's like you're on your own. You're on your own. Nobody guides you. Nobody guides you. Nobody guides you. What moral compass you do not train to face
nobody guides
people.
you. God, there's a lot of guidance. There's a lot of
Yeah,
guardrails, not guidance. There's a
yeah,
lot of guardrails that you have to follow.
yeah. Then in university, they will expect you to be follow some very conservative rules. If you're in a public university, in private one, they don't really care that much. So which is and it was
I
because
cannot
you tend to
say
live
anything
outside.
about it because I have no experience. I don't know.
So either way, I just think that we have a lot of little issue. Lah. So that being said, I do not know what to do in my internship, but expect more from my misadventure because I do not know what to do. I work with computer more than people. So that's the thing.
Speaking of
Oh, it's normal.
misadventures and computers.
It's normal. It's
Sorry?
that I also don't know what I want to do, but
Yeah.
at least it's not like I have to get into the field and make myself miserable and still thinking what
Yes.
just to learn how to commit to whatever that I choose. That's different.
Yes.
Speaking
Yeah.
of misadventures and computers, you told me backstage you wanted to see how I'm using my Android camera
Yeah.
as a webcam
Show
right
us.
now. So it's actually, well, I didn't have a mirror, but I think this is fine. So I think this works.
That's not
Is
a
it,
phone. That's a tablet.
no. It's not. Yeah, it's not. I don't have a mirror. I said. Okay, there you go.
Oh, okay.
So where is the camera? Yeah. So this is the web. Sorry, the Android phone. You'll see.
Yep.
Let me turn off the light. It's too bright.
Yep.
Because it's yeah. So you'll see the phone is there, right?
Mhm.
The phone is there, but the webcam is there. And so I'm
Right.
using. So you'll see that there's actually a what they call this masking tape because that phone has a cracked camera thing. So if you share my screen, let me share my whole screen here. There you go. Okay, so that's let me just put this out. So this is here. I'm using an application called DroidCam X. So this is the turn on the light. It's very dark. This is the DroidCam client, and I showed you that. So if you see this is a cracked screen. Basically, the cover of the lens is cracked. The wide angle lens is actually very bad. Like it's really cracked. That's why I had it covered because it was falling apart, and so it's up to here. So you do an optical zoom, and then in OBS, which I'm using as a virtual camera for this one, then I'm piping it out. And you'll see here it's different because what's good is that even though this is like the raw thing, right, the raw image, it's still not color corrected, and so you can actually in it's webcam, no, DroidCam, in OBS you can do something like a color correction, a bit of sharpening, and then at least the image is passable. It's like not that bad, right? And then you have this, and then you just arrange it. And you'll probably notice I sometimes turn off my I mute myself and remove the feed. It's because I was actually testing out RTX voice. So apparently NVIDIA Broadcast is not available for like non RTX cards, right? So you need to have at least a 20 series card for broadcast. But apparently RTX voice works for any GTX card. And I have a Quadro P600, or it's a P400. I think it's a P400, a Quadro P400 right now. It's not a gaming card by any means. It's just like one of the cheaper Quadro cards that I have. It can do NVENC and it can do RTX voice. So I'm actually using RTX voice right now. If I share again my screen, I guess you can only share screens here. You'll see here that I have an RTX voice, and the only thing that I added here as a filter is like it's a noise gate, so that it doesn't pop, and then you have all of your things. So I still have virtual cable. So this is the input is RTX voice from the H2N microphone, which I was setting up here. And so from the microphone, it removes background noise, goes to OBS, does some noise gate stuff, goes to virtual cable, and virtual cable is the one that's I'm piping to StreamYard or to Google Meet or to any of the like conferencing programs that I have. So I think we also took a look at the performance. So you'll see here. So this is the webcam. I think you saw it, right? Like the webcam is the Logitech, and this is the Droid Cam. This is the the Xiaomi A1 as a webcam, and there is a bit of latency. Sorry,
the Droid Cam looks better.
Because, because it's a proper what do you call this? It's a proper 1080p camera. The Logitech is at 720p. Everything is blown out. It looks very artificial, but this one looks a bit more natural. It is because the Logitech is just a camera, so it's a bit faster. You'll see, for example, that the cell phone camera is slightly late, like maybe 50 milliseconds, 20 milliseconds late, but it's not that bad. I mean, for an online meeting, it's not going to be a big issue. So, and yeah, all of the processing is done on OBS because, for example, even though it's a better a better camera, you still need to do color corrections. For if you don't color correct, for example, it looks like this, and then you do a color correction, it's slightly better, and then you have a bit of sharpening because this is a bit blurred, and then if you sharpen it, it looks a bit like sharp. It looks better, basically. So yeah, so because people were asking as well, like, how do I do all of these things? And I think I showed as well, like this.
And he just off.
No, we can still see Tristan's screen.
Still. It's, and then probably I can do a transition, like something like a slide, something like that. Wait, let's see. Let's do a slide. Sorry. I'll cut. It's too fast. But anyway, so yeah, so maybe do it like this, and then it's OBS stuff, but it's quite nice to be able to control like the output that you have, so you're not a slave to whatever device that you're piping at. Like if you have a webcam, you're not just going to use your webcam. You want to at least color correct things, or to if you have a microphone, you want to have a noise gate so that small background noise is not going to be detected, like clicks, for example. Like for example, I'm typing, but it's not heard. But if I type loud, now it's because the noise gate is triggered, right? So all of these small things, it just makes a better what do you call this? Nicer experience for the recording or for the stream. And I think so, to tie in this into our discussion about like the knowledge gap, right? So I didn't know any of these things. It's just that because I had a goal, I wanted to have my presence in streams and in my meetings and conferences better. And so it's more of my proactive thing. It's not, I didn't like wait for someone to tell me that, hey, you look really bad on the meetings, or we can't hear you, or your audio quality is very bad. It's like I inspect and adapt to my own circumstances. I have Audacity running. I record myself, see, okay, the caller is very bad or something like that. And it's all about self-improvement as well. And same with the interns. The people that I would like to get as interns would be the people who would like to self invest, like to invest in themselves for their learning. And I'm just there to guide them, like to tell them, not to teach them, but to tell them where is the best place to go to if you'd like to be working in this organization. Every organization will have different requirements. So you're there as at least I'll be there as a guide to tell them if they're going to be an employee, these are the things that you need to learn. But the learning itself needs to happen in their end. Like I can't force them. I can guide them a lot. I can incentivize them, but I cannot force them. I cannot spoon feed them the knowledge because that's just like too much. That's very inefficient use of my time. I'd rather like work on myself than drag other people towards something.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
That's the setup that I have. I think it's one of the more complicated ones. I don't know what you use, but this is what I have as a setup. The what do you call this? The Droid Cam is the most recent one. It's because I just realized I have a old phone that still has a working camera, but it's like I can't use it as a daily phone, right? I have my own phone, but this is like an old phone that I had before, so I might as well get something done since it's a long weekend. So I might as well like experiment with that.
You know what? That's a good idea for me to try that because otherwise I would have a lot of dead and unused technology. So yeah, it's a good idea. I should try that. So with that being said, I think it's 11 already. So
it's a fast ranting day.
Yes. So let's see what happens next week. I have no plan for next week as well. Or the week after.
But by next week, I think you will have received your watch, right?
And also Park.js. So Tristan already show the watch. I have one extra item that's Park.js. Then I think that might be interesting. Let's see. I have no idea what I want to show.
For the Park.js, I have a I have a project for you because the Puck.js can be a Bluetooth HID device, right? So you can use it to, I don't know, to mute yourself on meetings and unmute yourself. So instead of looking for the keyboard and clicking on things, I think there's a shortcut to mute and unmute. So just keep it nearby and then just click on it.
Yes. So that's next week, I think. I hope. So currently the device is in Pusat Mill National, Shah Alam. So in theory, it could come any day. In practice, I do not know because it is a public holiday and sometimes the postman don't send a public holiday. So it's more likely next week.
Well, is it a public holiday in Shah Alam? I don't think it's a public holiday in
because
Shah Alam, right?
The reason is Malaysia is privatized and the company may base in Kuala Lumpur.
It's not really. It depends on your office.
Yeah. So in my case,
remember the awkwardness. You're from you're from UM. UM actually has a different holiday for different part of the uni. Last time.
I know. That is so weird. I know. So I was in the Selangor side. It's complicated. So either way, let's see what happens next week. Maybe before next week, I will put MicroPython on this as a demo as well. Let's see. I don't have a strong plan. So yeah. With that said, thanks for listening. Shall we say goodbye now?
Bye.
Yes, we should. Yes.
I am Tristan. We didn't introduce ourselves in the beginning, by the way.
I know. You all know us. You all know Omar. You know
this
me.
You know, this might be the lucky 10K, you know? Like people might, like the lucky 10,000 people might be watching this particular stream.
Well, actually part of it is because I was out of social media for 1 week. So maybe I want to keep the streak. It's just me. All right, goodbye. I'm going to just end the
Bye.
broadcast.
Bye. Good night.
Yeah.